Saif Ali Khan actually once told me that keep doing what you're doing because trust me, people are noticing. I have a weird parallel in my own career to the growth of India. As India keeps growing, my career also slowly just keeps chugging along. So I feel such a oneness with the country. The world is talking about India. So why can't we be proud of our country and why can't we celebrate that? Because my journey has been so painful and so long and everything has come very slowly. I value each thing that much more.
The reason why you said it's painful is because
her stardom has only grown in the last 10 years that I've met her. You know, mine is going slowly like that, but hers is just, skyrocketing. And now, as you rightly said, she's the global representation of India. He would always keep saying, our careers are just starting. Our careers are just starting. Yours are mine, just starting.
Okay.
The fact that he keeps saying it, he means it. He's like, I've got miles to go before I sleep. And that's why he is where he is, man. Because you're a linguist yourself, you probably have that question.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
Thanks for observing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you should hear him speak in French. Ab pagal ho jaoge.
Well, actor Akshay Oberoi is garnering praise for his recent film Fighter. Well, those of you who have seen the film would know the instrumental role he has played in the film. He plays Bashir Khan, a fighter pilot who is part of this larger unit called Air Dragons. Well, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. You're not new to garnering praise, but most of the time it's for the grey characters you play. Thanks for inviting us over, and the coffee is really nice because it's not sugary, it's bitter.
Good.
And most of the times, just like the characters you play, there are different shades, but this one is sugary. Your role in Fighter is sugary.
It is.
And it's straight and it's all goody-goody.
Yeah.
Your take on the same?
I'm glad you enjoyed the coffee because in my house there better be good coffee. So hats off to Siddharth Anand because he had produced a show I did called Flesh. Where I played a transgender flesh trade owner, and even if you just Google it or watch the trailer, you can see how Daravna and Khoonkhar that character is. He's probably the most villainous role I've ever played. But he's the same guy who then gives me a role in Fighter, which is so sugary and sweet and kind and mature and evolved. And in an industry that likes to typecast you, I really salute that man because he has the vision to say, ki, no, this actor can do this and he can also do this. So, yeah.
Just the way I said in my introduction, I mean, portraying all these characters that are grey and critical acclaim therefore comes with it. And then getting this recognition for this big ticket Bollywood film. Yeah. Give us a sense of dealing with the praise and the accolade and the critical acclaim that comes with those grey shades of characters for meaningful cinema as opposed to the mainstream film. How do you then deal with that as a performer?
So first of all, it's kind of hard to stand out in a big mainstream film unless you're a big mainstream star, right? So I'm lucky that I got a role enough to stand out and that people have, it has impacted people in a certain way and that they walk away from the film being like, chalo, hrithikroshan, deepikapadukone, Anil Kapoor, but this guy also stood out. That's huge to even get that opportunity. But with that, it comes the joy of suddenly you're walking down the street and people are like, hey, Bashir Mia, which feels really cool, Right. Earlier, the work was sort of industry people or film buffs or, some avid watchers would watch. And these films have grown over time. Any of the antagonist roles you're talking about, whether that's, Gurgaon or any of those Pizza or Kala Kandi or Lal Rang, any of those films, they've grown over time. Okay. Like when they first came out, there was there was appreciation critically for my work and sometimes the film also, particularly in Gurgaon's case. But overall, people, they started watching. Then one day I'd be at an airport, they'd be like, weren't you in that Lal Rang? I saw it on Netflix or I saw it on Hotstar or whatever it is. But here, all at once, there's so many crores of people going to the theater watching you that suddenly people recognize you on the street. Yeah. And there's a great joy in that,
This sentiment is quite rare. And the reason why I say this because most actors jump at something that is grey.
Yeah.
It's exactly opposite for you. You have played so much grey that the moment the straight-jacketed character comes your way, you're lapping up the opportunity with both hands.
Yeah. No, I think it comes from, look, the world is what you make of it. So I know, like you manifest things and you put them out there in some way, they have a way of coming back to you. So after my first film, which I thought was the most sugary sweet film I've ever done, इसी लाइफ में राजश्री प्रोडक्शंस which they make sugary sweet उनकी मठास तो भरी होती है उनकी फिल्मों में I ran away from it and I didn't want I thought my eyes are too green, my lips are too pink and my eyes look like I wear eyeliner, so I didn't want to play any chocolate boy goody two shoe roles, so I went the other way. and I ran very hard the other way, and I kept doing that, and I wanted people to not talk about my looks and talk about me as an actor. So I went so much in that direction that I forgot, and I didn't come back only until one day this happened, Siddharth Anand's Fighter, which now reminds me that there is this other part of me that I should also explore, which is, I am a soft, innocent, sweet person. Why not
You truly
play?
are.
Yeah, exactly. And why not play those parts too?
So was it more like playing yourself, or were there other dimensions as well that you got to explore in this one?
No, great question. There were definitely different dimensions, but this is the closest to me that I have done in a very, very long time. Like when I'm up there on screen, even I connect with this character more, Bashir Khan, because I know he's me. There is a wide-eyed naivety and innocence to Bashir Khan, which is me. I mean, I left America to come back to India. I was born in America. I grew up there, but I came back here to act in Hindi films because I have this thing for my nation, my people, my country. Bashir Khan and I have a lot of similarity.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of similarity. I didn't, and I realize it's harder to play yourself. It's easier to play somebody who's not you. So that was my journey on Fighter, which was struggling to be authentic and real as myself, sort of.
Allow me to frame this question correctly. For someone like you who knows the craft like to the bone, to the T, and then working in a big ticket film where you have this ensemble of cast, bigger stars, so to speak. You have Hrithik, you have Deepika, you have Anil Kapoor. Do you then discuss with your director, hey, what do I have in this one, and is it substantial? It's not just the stars around you, but what part do I have in this one? Did that conversation happen?
No, not at all. This was very much like, thank you, Mr. Siddharth Anand, for thinking about me. I would have done anything in the film. I would have spoken 2 lines and walked off. But it was more like, thank you for trusting me. I won't let you down. It wasn't, I never thought about how will I stand out, mere ko kaun dekha itni badi film mein. I wanted to just be in the movie. And at no cost did I want that movie to go. Because, I trust myself as an actor enough. I'm not insecure at all when it comes to my talent. I knew कि मैं अपना काम करके घर जाऊंगा. What I've been cast for, I'm going to do perfectly and go home and not think about anything else, not even the result. Because oftentimes the expectation of the result of the project weighs you down. And I stopped doing that years ago, in order to survive in the business with all the flops and everything. I very quickly decided that the result मेरे वश में नहीं, मेरे control में नहीं, उसके बारे में मैं सोचूंगा भी नहीं. I'm just going to work as hard and as honestly as I can and move on. So even with Fighter, which I knew the world is going to watch, I never thought about the result. It was always like, just do your job the best you can.
And of course, the brickbats also coming your way in the sense that, and you're dealing with all those brickbats quite wonderfully, gracefully, I must say. They say it is all about, walking that thin ice, so to speak, along the lines of Jingoism.
I know where you're going.
And there's a fabulous interview in which you said, and I was reading about it, that what is Jingoism for one person could be national pride for another.
Yeah.
So how do you draw the line? What is your personal take in your personal capacity, not just as a performer, but as someone who sees this subject with a broader lens on the canvas?
Yeah. No, thanks for pointing out that I said that. And I think it's important because, I feel like there's a lot of negativity in the world. People will buy a new house and they'll say, "Arey, naya ghar to le liya, but toilet bahut chota hai." Come on, naya ghar liya hai, yaar. Like there's a certain sense of pride right now in India. There's a certain sense of energy in India right now. Ki India tarakki kar raha hai. The world is talking about India. So why can't we be proud of our country and why can't we celebrate that? So for me, it's a fine line between. I actually don't even know what the word jingoism is, because it's like, why is it jingoistic? I mean, the whole world is, what Hollywood didn't do it throughout the 80s and 90s, make films about their own country. You have to instill pride. I mean, we're coming out of that thing that made in India means kharab hoga. That was the mindset in India up until the last 5 to 7 years ago. If it's made in India, it'll be subpar. Today, we are so proud of made in India. So pride is important for hope. And hope is probably the most greatest thing that anyone can live with. All of us, हम लोग उसी पे जीते हैं. किसको पता क्या कल होने वाला है? So hope is important, and for that you have to instill pride. Let me give you a different analogy. If I didn't wake up every morning being like, I'm a good actor and living on the hope of having an acting career, if I didn't tell myself and have pride for my own talent, I would have never made it. So pride is a very important thing, and I'm glad directors like Siddharth Anand are pushing the envelope in that place. To me, the film never came across as jingoistic. That's me. Somebody else might have been like, it's this or that. But we make a very clear dialogue in the film कि आपके मुल्क के खिलाफ नहीं आतंकवादी के खिलाफ है.
Too good.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's that line is said I think twice in the film,
Yeah.
if not at least once. I think वहीं बात खत्म हो जाती है.
I'm glad you touched upon that topic because as an outsider, when you were in America, the way India was seen and perceived, and the way now it has placed herself on the global map, do you see changes as a performer, as a sensitive artist, and what these changes are? Are they all positive? How do you look at it?
Yes, I think they are all positive because this was important for our people, for a movement, for us to believe in ourselves, for us to finally be on the world map. You know, still people say कि हॉलीवुड में जाओ यार, क्या बढ़िया फिल्म्स बनाते हैं. If you watch Fighter, where if you compare a big commercial Hollywood film, even if you take Top Gun, look at our VFX. Look at what we are able to do in such a small budget. Yeah. Chandrayaan, I think the Hollywood films cost more than a trip to the moon cost us, yeah? So India's doing things today without being lavish, without being, exploitive, without throwing money around and showing our weight in the world. We're doing it smartly and correctly. And I have a weird parallel in my own career to the growth of India. As India keeps growing, my career also slowly just keeps chugging along. So I feel such a oneness with the country. And I'm really sick and tired of people bashing our cinema and really sick and tired of people bashing ourselves कि Indians ऐसे हैं, Indians वैसे हैं. So, I'm so glad that things are changing in that regard.
Who would believe with that accent that you studied in America? Who would believe? And you have always been good with languages.
Yeah.
We were just discussing just before the start of the interview that you love to play with languages. But to play this character, to be able to grasp his language, because he's straight-jacketed, sugary, as I've been saying, did that require any kind of work to build that vocabulary, to understand the grammar of the character, so to speak?
For Bashir Khan?
For Bashir Khan?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people would have even talked about it, but because you're a linguist yourself, you probably have that question.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah,
thanks for observing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you should hear him speak in French. Aap pagal ho jaoge. There's a certain cadence with which Air Force pilots speak in. It's very sharp. It's very articulate. Maybe because the training they go through, they have to communicate with ATC, meaning the ground staff, very clearly as to where they are in the skies. So if you speak to any Air Force pilot, their speech is clear, just absolutely clear. So that was an important part for me to add into the character, because sometimes we have a tendency to just rush through something or not pronounce something fully.
Correct.
Which that imperfection works for certain characters. Yeah. But everything I have said, even when we're captive in Pakistan or that Shero Shari, as उसने पानी नहीं पिया होगा 2 दिन से, but still there was a clarity as much as possible.
And Tehzeeb and Tamiz remains intact.
And the Tehzeeb and the Tamiz and the Tehrav remains intact, which all those Air Force pilots just inherently have, So that was the kind of cadence I had to catch.
Yeah. And apart from that, building that body language, of course, being an actor, you know how to use your body as a tool.
Yeah.
But for this role, where most of the time you are mid-air, and when you're ground, you also have to carry the same body language, because this is who you are internally, professionally, and most of your, professionalism consumes you as a personality. So working on that part, and I want to draw a sharp contrast here in terms of what other people are doing, like other actors were doing, and what you were doing. Was there any difference in process?
You don't know, because so much of the pre or homework for an actor is cerebral. So I don't know उसके दिमाग में क्या चल रहा है, like hrithik क्या सोच रहा है, Karan
It never
क्या
gets
सोच
discussed.
रहा है. It's a weird thing. Acting's a weird thing where sometimes you don't want to discuss it because you don't want to. It's like a magician revealing tricks. I don't want you to really know what I'm doing. Not in a selfish way, not in a way of like उसको पता चल जाएगा मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ और वो चुरा लेगा. It's not that. It's sometimes when you talk about it, you suddenly lose the truth to it. It seems fake. Sometimes when you talk about the process of acting, it starts to feel a bit trivial. So I get when actors don't want to discuss their thought process too much. But every actor has their own internal clock that's going on. What we all had access to were the Air Force pilots, and we could ask them anything we wanted. Hrithik is a very curious person, so he would ask a lot of questions. AK sir, very curious, asked a lot of questions. DP, everybody, Karan, we all asked, but different questions to different people, and we all had our own intimate kind of moments with these pilots to ask what we wanted. So I'm not exactly sure what Hrithik would have asked or what AK sir would have asked, but I know what I did. And a lot of my real life, I'm trained this way. Like, because I've been acting for so many years, I observe everything. I mean, even the way you're sitting right now, the way your neck is moving, it's all being kind of recorded in my own head.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with those pilots as well. I've been training my brain for so many years to watch people. You know, even when we're doing this interview, I know what some people are on their mobile watching their phone or whatever. How are they watching it? That's kind of recording in my brain. So I did the same with those pilots, you know, and I picked up these small things that they would do, small body language gestures, the way they turn their neck is very specific, you know, because who you are as a career shapes exactly who you are in real life.
Totally.
So they sit a certain way. I have a tendency to sit like this, you know, and I'm very slouchy and very much like, you know, hiding myself. But these pilots sit kadak, you know, they have a very kadak body language. They turn a certain way. Their hands are in their pockets a certain way. So I spent a lot of time watching that.
Gives a sense of, as a performer, and people generally ask it other way around, like, how do you see other actors perform right alongside you?
Yeah.
So stalwarts like Hrithik or AK sir, Deepika, you already worked with before. Do you see that exchange of energy? Because it's also about listening and grasping what other person is doing and therefore reacting according to that. Did you see that they were absorbing something from you? You were absorbing something from them, and therefore, what were the key lessons?
Yeah. First of all, I like to sit on set. I don't like to sit in my van too much. I like to watch what the other actors are doing. I mean, I love acting, so I'm always wondering कि वो कैसे करेगा, ये कैसे करेगा, अच्छा वो क्या कर रहे हैं, ये क्या कर रहे हैं. So I try and keep doing that as much as you're allowed to and not get in the way of the work. But yes, I felt so many times on this movie that there was a real exchange of emotions happening, you know, that everyone believed in this movie. Everyone really connected with their characters. You know, I think there's a scene with me and Hrithik, which we shot very early on, where I tell him something कि, you know, अपनी जो टीम की ताकत है, तू है ताकतवर, but अपनी टीम को भी अपनी ही ताकत समझ. There's some dialogue like that, and then I say कि and then I make him a drink. I say कि नया दोस्त नया drink नहीं बना सकता है, you know, नए दोस्त के लिए, something like that. And I remember when the shot finished, we're walking back to the van, and I know we both felt that that was like a real moment, a real exchange. And that set the tone for the rest of our equation together.
Okay.
You know, and he also said something like that was a very endearing moment. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, I felt that too. You know, and when actors have this magic of sharing, he's a stranger to me. I mean, he's no stranger to anyone, but him as a human, it's a stranger. Like, I don't know, but we had this exchange of emotion, which now bonded us for the rest of the movie. You know, so acting's a weird profession like that. Between action and cut, you're living a different life and you have a different exchange of energy. But that energy does get exchanged, so you can't ignore it. And I'm, you know, he's a very honest, truthful person, Hrithik. So when he said that, I was like, yeah, me too. I felt that. And I know that carried throughout. Even that badge we exchanged, Fighter Forever, which you see in Hira's Money. There's this, people keep saying like that smile was so endearing to Hrithik, and you look like there was this brotherly bond. But that happened because a result of that scene. You know? So you take that energy forward.
Wow. And talking about energy, you just cannot ignore Anil Kapoor.
Yeah.
Tell us about working
Energy
with
ke
him.
bhandar hai wo. This is my third time working with him. I worked with him as he produced something I did called Selection Day. I did a film called Thar with him in like a cameo appearance. I did Ek Ladki Ko Dekha To Aisa Laga with him. And I keep saying to everyone that every day Kesar comes to set, he comes like a newcomer. It's that energy. It's the energy of मैं prove करूँगा, मैं prove कर, आज मैं फाड़ दूँगा, आज मैं अच्छा काम करूँगा. It's that positive thing of like, you know, he would always keep saying, our careers are just starting. Our careers are just starting. Yours are mine, just starting.
Okay.
You know, the fact that he keeps saying
Wow.
it, and he means it. You know, he's like, I've got miles to go before I sleep. And that's why he is where he is, man. You don't become Anil Kapoor like that. You have to have that like crazy mentality of, you know, every single day I'm going to prove that I'm the best. I'm the best. And that's why he's survived. And that's
Allow
why
me to
he's
borrow a
where he is.
line that you said in your earlier interview. You dated Deepikapadukone in the film Pickkle, and now here in Fighter. What transition do you see, Deepika, that actor which was just evolving and now the mega star on the global platform? Do you see change in personality, persona, the actor, the performer?
Yeah, what I see in her is a person who's really trying to be real amongst the chaos. It's got to be chaotic to be that big of a star. I mean, it's a blessing, it's a gift, it's destiny's, you know, child to be in that position. But I think she carries it so gracefully. It's so difficult, man. I can understand. I've been in this business for so many years. I've seen many successful people, and what it does to them, what fame does to them. It destroys you almost. It's a weird kind of drug. But she has carried it with so much grace, and her stardom has only grown in the last 10 years that I've met her. Mine is going slowly like that, but hers is just, skyrocketing. And now, as you rightly said, she's the global representation of India.
And your journey itself has been so graceful.
Yeah.
You have evolved.
Yeah.
I still remember the interview we did right after Pizza.
Yep.
And I was really afraid, and I posed that question to you. With the looks that you're blessed with, is this the right era for you? Because it's the era of Pankaj Tripathi, Nawazuddin Siddiqui. And when you
asked me this.
you remember that.
I remember you
So
asked me
would
this.
that act as an impediment? Would that act as a hurdle? And you were so confident about it. I know what my strengths are, and I certainly know what my weaknesses are, and I'm going to play on my strengths. And you did just exactly that.
Hey,
So
thanks,
congratulations,
man.
bravo
Thanks, man.
on that.
Appreciate that.
Tell us, how do you, when you look at your filmography now and evolution of you as a performer, how do you look at it?
Well, first of all, I just had a flashback to that UTV Disney office where we had that
Absolutely.
interview. I almost, weirdly enough, remember you were wearing a purple or a maroon shirt and black pants. It just struck me.
I need
boom.
a stylist. I
Yeah.
need a stylist.
No, you don't. You look great. Man. So how's that evolution been? It's been a long journey. It's been a long journey to get to this point, especially from pizza to this point. It's been a decade, and in that decade, I have only gotten more and more value and love for anybody who recognizes my work and anyone who talks about my work. And everything I've achieved, I've learned to value it. I've learned to not just be like, "Haan, theek hai na yaar," which, it happens. When you get too much of something, you start to be like, whatever, that's okay and that's okay. But I've because my journey's been so painful and so long and everything has come very slowly, I value each thing that much more.
The reason why you said it's painful is because?
Because it's been a tough one. It's been, I keep getting the sentence, have you not gotten your due? Did you not get what you deserved?
Yeah.
And somewhere those questions play on you a lot, right? Like, acha, itna kaam kar liya, but Instagram ki
Oh,
following.
just shush.
Yeah.
I'm just 27.
Yeah,
Long way to go.
yeah,
Look at me.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not. I'm a decade older than that. I might look it, but I'm not. So at that time, 10 years ago, when I was 27, it would definitely feel a bit like itna kaam kar liya, but kaun dekh raha hai? And you feel like you're like digging a well, and it's like darkness down here. Is anybody watching? And then Saif Ali Khan actually once told me that keep doing what you're doing, because trust me, people are noticing. Just keep going at it. One day people will turn back and say like, here's the guy who is also in all these things. He was the guy in Inside Edge, who was also the guy in Gurgaon, also the guy in Lal Rang, also the guy in Kala Kandi. They'll connect it.
Absolutely.
So tu zyada usme focus mat kar. I remember he told me that, and it stayed with me. But that pain is what made me an actor. If I hadn't gone through that pain, I don't think I'd be as good an actor as I am today. That pain made me.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
It's certainly helping you.
Yeah, and it's
look
okay.
at the journey.
Yeah, it's okay. Like sometimes people put too much emphasis on numbers and too much emphasis on teri following kya hai, tera wo kya hai, and that's okay. I think you have to just put your head down, keep working, and not get so caught up in the result of it.
Yeah.
The universe will give you what you need.
Absolutely. And universe is giving you what you truly deserve.
It
You
is,
tell me, Ranbir Kapoor said quite famously in one of his interviews, the way he uses his eyes. He's got those droopy eyes.
Yeah.
You have got this nice honey eyes.
Yeah.
Not even honey. It's like greenish
Hazel
tinge
is
to
what they
it,
call it,
hazel. How do you use those eyes to effects in terms of the characters you portray? And of course, those good looks are working in your favor as well. So are you planning to go westward as well? Are you going to strike that perfect balance between the work that is coming from the West and the work that is Bollywood offering you, not just in terms of critically acclaimed films, but also the big ticket cinema now? How do you see that, the whole arc?
To answer your first question, I don't think about using my eyes. I feel, and then it reflects in my eyes. So I don't know how to use my eyes, and if Ranbir can give me some tips on that, that'd be great, because I don't know how to do that, and I wish I did. But I feel, I know that everything I do, it comes from here. And I know that the lens and the camera catches, it reads your eyes, everything you're feeling at all times. So I try and be very, very present. And I just allow the emotion to take over and hope that it's being read. I think camera acting is fascinating. People can read your thoughts. It just is that way. The camera medium is so powerful. So that's the first part of your question. The second, about Hollywood versus Indian cinema, is I grew up there. I know America, the heritage, the culture, the language, the accent very, very well. So it would be a shame if I didn't do work there. I will try, but I will never leave India and I will never leave the Hindi film industry. And it took me so long to have a pehchan here that leaving this feels really stupid. But if work comes there, I would love to do work there and straddle both. I mean, in an ideal scenario, I'd be working here and there. But let's see, I haven't really spent too much time on trying to get global work yet.
My last question. When you see films now and people talking about not just your films that are popular now, popular cinema, yours is a popular one now, it's a mainstream, it's a big ticket, I've been saying this. Do we as actors, as performers, as creative people, as artists, have to give neutral view to everything? Do you have to sit on the fence? Or you can have an objective, one-sided view as well, because you have the liberty to portray characters that you believe in, make cinema that you firmly believe in.
Yeah.
What is your take?
No, I think the latter. I think you're right about a filmmaker should have their own voice. And I mean, there was a lot said about Animal and there's a lot said about Fighter and these, but it's a character in a film and that guy has to be authentic to that character. As in the director and writer and the actor have to be completely authentic when portraying that kind of a toxic male. So I think that's the genius of artistry. You have the liberty and license to explore these, there are people in society like this and you have the liberty to go and do it. So you have to be authentic to that. You can't suddenly now be like, no, I have to have a neutral view. तो मैं सिर्फ इतना ही दिखाऊंगा. That's unfair. That's being inauthentic. And that should not, I hope that people aren't doing that because that's very sad. You can't curtail artistry like that.
Yeah. Generally with you, we prefer black coffee. Today I had the sugary milky one, the kind of character exactly that you portrayed in Fighter. Straight jacketed, sugary, nice. But of course, we love to keep it a mix, be it cappuccino, be it latte, whatever.
Yes.
And many more to come your way. Thank you so much.
I will try and give you a wide array of drinks. The
Arrange
next time you come, there'll be a cappuccino or a latte here present for you. And thank you, man. I really hope to keep doing versatile roles because that's the real joy.
Tathastu.
Yeah, tathastu, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.